The real reason you're not happy isn't what you think. You're not unhappy because you're lazy. You're not stuck because you're weak. And you're not unfulfilled because you lack meaning. You're unhappy because you've been living your entire life for everyone except you. From the moment you could walk and talk, you were rewarded not for being real, but for being acceptable. You learned to smile when you wanted to cry. To say, "I'm fine," when your chest was screaming. To become whoever they needed. A good student, a good child, a good partner. Even if it meant being a stranger to yourself. And somewhere along the line, you forgot what your own voice sounded like. Because the world was louder. Because their approval felt safer than your truth. So now, every morning, you wake up and put on a mask. Not the obvious kind. No, yours is crafted from kindness, politeness, compliance. You show up. You serve. You support. You play the roles so well that no one suspects you're suffocating. But late at night, when the world goes quiet, something in you aches. A soft, persistent whisper asking, "When do I get to live?" And that's the question that terrifies most people. Because if you really stopped living for others, would you even know who you are anymore? The truth is brutal. You've been so busy proving your worth to the world that you've never asked if the world even deserves all of you. And here's the part no one tells you. You can follow all the rules. You can be everything to everyone. And still, feel completely empty. Because fulfillment doesn't come from being liked. It comes from being true. But truth has a cost. It might cost you comfort. It might cost you relationships built on your silence. It might cost you the identity you constructed just to survive. And yet, the cost of not living your truth is far greater. Because every time you betray yourself to be loved, you teach your nervous system that love requires sacrifice. That belonging means shrinking. That acceptance comes only when you're wearing a disguise. This is not love. This is emotional self-harm, socially approved, culturally applauded, but deeply destructive. So if you're feeling numb, drained, resentful, maybe you're not broken. Maybe you're just exhausted from abandoning yourself every single day. Here's the wake-up call. You don't need to burn yourself down to keep others warm. You don't need to apologize for taking up space. You don't need to be who they expect in order to be enough. You were never meant to be a mirror for other people's comfort. You were meant to be a flame, raw, radiant, real. So the next time you hear that voice inside ask, "What about me?" Don't silence it. Listen. That voice is you coming back to life. The courage to be disliked. Why you don't owe the world your approval. Why is it so hard to say no? Why does disappointing someone feel like self-destruction? Because deep down, many of us carry a haunting belief. If they don't like me, then maybe I don't deserve to be loved. We confuse rejection with worthlessness. We treat disagreement as danger. We believe that being disliked equals being alone. This fear is so deep, so wired into us, that we shrink ourselves just to fit into the molds others approve of. We think, if I upset them, they'll leave. If I disagree, I'll be seen as difficult. If I speak up, they'll think I'm selfish. So we smile. We nod. We play along. We say yes when everything in our body is screaming no. And in the process, we betray ourselves, over and over again. This is where the courage to be disliked begins. It's not about being rude, loud, or rebellious. It's about choosing authenticity over acceptance. It's about realizing that peace doesn't come from being agreeable. It comes from being real. Because if you have to hide who you are to be liked, then the person they love isn't you. It's a performance. And no amount of applause can satisfy a soul that knows it's pretending. So here's the truth. Not everyone is supposed to like you. And that's not a problem. That's freedom. You're not sad for no reason, you just don't know the reason yet. Most people think emotions just happen to them. I'm sad because she left. I'm angry because they hurt me. I'm anxious because life is overwhelming. But what if your feelings aren't random reactions? What if they are intentional tools, used, often unconsciously, to achieve something? This is what Adlerian psychology teaches us. We don't feel emotions because of events. We feel them because we've chosen certain goals, often without realizing it. It's not that you can't stop being sad. It's that sadness might be helping you avoid something else. Responsibility. Change. Confrontation. For example, if I believe I'm not good enough, then sadness gives me an excuse not to try. It protects me from failure by keeping me in the comfort of despair. If I get angry easily, maybe it's not just because others are unfair. Maybe anger helps me feel powerful in moments where I otherwise feel weak. If I constantly feel anxious, maybe it keeps me distracted from deeper questions like, what do I actually want? What would I do if I weren't afraid? Emotions are not your enemy. But they are not your master either. Once you realize your mind may be using emotions to avoid pain, you can stop being a prisoner to them and start using your awareness to choose differently. That's emotional freedom. Not being controlled by how you feel, but understanding why you feel it. You're not trapped by your past, you're trapped by the story you tell about it. We love to say, I am the way I am because of my childhood. My parents never supported me, so I have low self-worth. My ex broke my heart, so now I can't trust anyone. I was bullied, so I have anxiety. And all of it feels true, because it gives our pain a reason. And that reason gives us permission not to change. But here's what most people never ask. Is it the past that's holding you back? Or your decision to keep carrying it into the present? Adlerian psychology flips the entire narrative. It says, you are not shaped by what happened to you, but by the purpose you assign to it now. You don't have low self-worth because your parents ignored you. You use that belief today to avoid risk, to avoid showing up in spaces that scare you, to stay in comfort rather than growth. You're not afraid of love because of your ex. You choose to stay afraid, because it feels safer than being vulnerable again. Your past doesn't imprison you. Your interpretation of it does. And interpretations can be changed. This doesn't mean your pain wasn't real. It means your pain is not the author of your future, you are. The moment you stop blaming your story, you start writing a new one. Because freedom doesn't mean the past didn't happen. It means it no longer controls what you do next. The comparison game, when you lose even before you start. You scroll. Someone's on vacation. Someone just got engaged. Someone's launching a business, buying a house, glowing with confidence. And without even realizing it, you start to shrink. Not physically, but emotionally. Your joy begins to feel small. Your accomplishments feel unimpressive. Your life, once peaceful, now looks dull. This is the hidden danger of constant comparison. You stop living your life because you're too busy watching everyone else live theirs. You don't celebrate your own wins because someone else's win looks shinier. You don't honor your progress because someone else got there faster. But here's the truth no one posts. Every highlight has a backstage. Every glow has a shadow. Every perfect moment on screen comes with 1,000 imperfect ones off camera. Comparison tricks your brain into thinking life is a race. But there is no finish line. There is no universal scoreboard. There is only your lane, and whether you're running it honestly. Because the moment you start chasing their path, you leave your own. You were never meant to be a copy. You were meant to be a creation. You don't have to earn your worth, you already are enough. We're conditioned to believe that value is earned. You're valuable if you produce, if you help, if you serve, if you succeed. So we live our lives as resumes, collecting titles, achievements, praise, likes, thinking, if I just do more, I'll finally feel like I'm enough. But here's the truth. You are not a product. You are a presence. Your worth is not measured by output. It's not how many people need you. It's not how many problems you solve. It's not how much you give until there's nothing left. You are worthy, before you lift a finger. Before you fix anything. Before you prove anything. Because your value isn't in what you do. It's in who you are, when everything else is stripped away. The problem is, we've attached identity to function. So when we're not helping, we feel useless. When we're resting, we feel guilty. When we're just existing, we feel invisible. But what if being isn't laziness? What if it's your birthright? What if the most radical thing you can do is to wake up and say, even if I do nothing today, I am still enough. Not because you earned it, but because you finally remembered it. Losing yourself in love isn't love, it's disappearance. You start dating someone. They make you feel seen, chosen, safe. So you start shifting, just a little. You laugh at jokes you don't like. You hide opinions that might start conflict. You mold your edges to fit their comfort. And before you realize it, you're not sure where they end and you begin. We're told love means giving. So we give everything. Our time, our needs, our identity. But what happens when you give so much that there's nothing left to recognize? This is the heartbreak no one talks about. The loss of self, not after a breakup, but during the relationship. You silence your desires to keep peace. You agree to avoid rejection. You tolerate to preserve connection. But real connection doesn't require your disappearance. It requires your presence. If love costs your authenticity, it's too expensive. Because anyone who needs you to be less, so they can love you more, doesn't truly love you. They love the version of you that's easy for them. But real love doesn't ask for reduction. It celebrates your truth, even when it's inconvenient. So if you're in a relationship where you can't say no, can't speak freely, can't exist without guilt, that's not love. That's emotional compromise dressed as romance. Real love doesn't ask you to shrink. It helps you expand. We often think love means closeness. But closeness isn't the same as merging. True intimacy is not. We become one. It's we remain two, while deeply connected. In real love, you don't disappear. You grow. You unfold. You are seen more, not less. But immature love wants fusion. It says, if you love me, you'll change for me. If you love me, you'll put me first, even over yourself. If you love me, you won't need space, or dreams, or boundaries. And so many people confuse this with romance. They think self-abandonment is a sign of devotion. They mistake sacrifice for proof. But real love isn't proven through self-erasure. It's built through mutual expansion. You don't lose yourself. You find new layers of yourself, because you feel safe to explore them. In a healthy connection, your no is respected. Your needs are not seen as threats. Your independence is honored, not feared. Love is not a cage, no matter how golden. It's a field. Wide. Open. Alive. Where two people walk side by side. Not holding each other hostage, but holding each other sacred. Happiness isn't there, it's here. We tell ourselves, I'll be happy when I get the job, when I lose the weight, when I find love, when life finally looks the way I imagined. And so, we live in a constant state of almost. Almost there. Almost enough. Almost ready to feel good. But almost becomes a habit. And that habit becomes a life. Here's the problem. If you don't know how to be present with joy now, you won't know how to be present with it later. Because even when the job comes, you'll want the promotion. When the love arrives, you'll fear losing it. When the goal is reached, you'll raise the bar. It's not the circumstances that delay our happiness. It's the postponement mindset we've normalized. The truth is, joy doesn't live in someday. It lives in today. It lives in the breath you just took. In the sky you forgot to look at. In the small yes you whispered to yourself. In the moment you said, "I'm okay right now." This doesn't mean you stop growing. It means you stop waiting to deserve happiness. Because you already do. Not later. Now. Stop asking the world who you are, start telling it. You spend years trying to be good. Good student. Good child. Good partner. Good friend. You follow the rules. You try not to upset people. You lower your voice to stay likable. You shrink your needs to stay loved. And it works, until it doesn't. Because no matter how perfect you try to be, someone still misunderstands you, still judges you, still leaves. That's when you realize, living for approval is a game you can't win. Because the rules keep changing. And the crowd is never satisfied. You become exhausted. Not from doing too little, but from doing too much for the wrong audience. Because deep down, you're not asking, "Who am I?" You're asking, "Who do you want me to be?" But here's the truth you've been avoiding. You don't need their permission to be yourself. You need your own. You don't need the world to agree with you. You need to agree with yourself. Because peace doesn't come from being understood. It comes from no longer needing to be. The moment you stop asking for approval, you begin living in your power. You stop being an echo and start becoming a voice. Live for the one who never left you. You've spent your life trying to be enough. You've chased love by disappearing. You've pursued success by overworking. You've begged for belonging by abandoning your truth. You've bent, twisted, shrunk yourself into 1,000 shapes. Only to realize the one thing you never became was you. But here's what no one told you. You were always enough, before the world told you otherwise. You were born worthy. You forgot. That's all. And remembering doesn't require becoming someone else. It requires becoming yourself, again. Not the version they expect. Not the version you curated. But the version that whispers late at night, "I miss me." This is your invitation. To stop auditioning. To stop apologizing. To stop running. And to return. To the only home that's ever truly yours, yourself. Because in the end, you can't control who loves you, sees you, stays with you. But you can choose to love the one person who's been there the whole time. You. So the question is no longer, "How do I become what they want?" The real question is, are you finally ready to become who you are?